Money, money, money. Money, money, money. We got that Fly Nubian money. We talk about that money. We all about that money. Money, 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 money. We got that Fly Nubian money. We talk about that money. We all about that money. We love our black skin, our melanin, always focusing in on that money. We always win, money never thin, 'cause we hustling, always focusing in money, 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 money. We got that money, 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 money. We that Fly Nubian money, boss talk only, we stack it up.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're at. Welcome to Fly Nubian Money, where we help you master your mindset and maximize your money. We have another great conversation. Y'all know we come with all the good conversation. So today, a man says his girlfriend left him because he lost $30,000 in gambling, and people are debating whether she was wrong for walking away or whether losing the money was the reason enough to walk away. But the point of is something we don't talk about enough in the Black community, and that's the gambling addiction. Between lottery, casinos, sports betting, and betting apps on our phones, gambling has become more accessible. We talk about drugs, we talk about sex addiction, and we talk about alcohol, but gambling can quietly destroy finances, your relationships, and everything you've worked to build. So today we're asking, if a partner loses $30,000 in gambling, would you stay? And when does financial problems become your problem? Ladies, y'all ready to have this conversation? So my first question to you all is, do you guys know if any of you all have any gambling issues, or do you know of anybody, or have you dealt with a spouse or something that has gambling addiction? I'm gonna start with you, Dr. Charm.
No, I don't have any gambling issues. Haven't dealt with this spouse with any gambling issues. I have been in relation with people who have had, one person who had an addiction issue, and that was very, very difficult, because you realize that the people have a relationship, and I had to understand this. They have a relationship with you, and they have a relationship with whatever they're addicted to, whether it's gambling, whether it's drugs, whether it's alcohol, and the relationship between them and the substance, that comes first.
Agree with that. I myself do not have a gambling or any kind of addiction. I'm funny. I'll go to the boat if it's like for a concert or something, but I'm not doing all that gambling. I'm not just going to throw my money away in that way. I have known of people that do gamble. They do that betting gambling in terms of sports or just regular gambling. Or people that I know personally that have like relatives that are like hardcore gamblers. They're just like at the casino all the time. They got all the points, rewards, gifts, and everything like that. But in terms of somebody that is risking it all, I don't know anybody personally like that. But I do know a lot of people, like my daddy going to get his lottery ticket. He gonna get it. If he ain't in town, he gonna ask somebody to get it. So, we know of those stories. What about you, Aisha?
No, I don't have anyone around me that is gambling, or myself. I'm like you. I don't want to spend my money where I'm going to lose it. If I go out like outside in the casino, I'm hanging out because it's proximity, I may say, okay, I'm going to spend $10 just for fun. But no, I go there every time to gamble now. And I don't know anyone as well that has a problem as an addiction or constantly losing money in the casino. No, I don't.
Okay, I think we have a video, and I forgot to introduce you guys. I'm sorry. We just getting into the groove of things. So I have Dr. Charm here with us today, and I have Aisha with us, and of course I'm Dominique Morgan. So I forgot to introduce you guys. Sorry. We getting it going. We getting it together, but I think we have a video. Producer, do we have a video?
But while we're waiting on her, I just wanted to just give a quick plug. Did you guys see me on Beat Shazam with Jamie Foxx last Tuesday? If you missed it, you can still catch it on Hulu. And then I found out we on Tubi too, but that episode won't air for another week. So I hope y'all caught it in the chat and everybody else. I know Miss Black Hollywood said she caught it.
Yeah, you're gonna have to put it in the chat. I want to see it. I have not seen it.
Yes.
Hi, Miss Nomalanga. How are you? So you're here just in time. So my question for the panelists, are you yourself a gambler at all, or do you know of anybody that is a gambler?
No, ma'am, I do not. I do not gamble. I'm not a gambler. I actually have a very strong opinion about gambling. I don't believe in chance. So no. Do I know people that gamble? Fortunately, I know people that are addicted to substances, but not an actual gambler.
Yeah.
Funny enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know people who are addicted to substances, alcohol, other substances, or have known such people, but gambling, thank goodness, for some reason has never really come close enough to me.
Okay. So when initially we were talking about the man, his spouse said, or his girlfriend, because it wasn't his wife, it was his girlfriend, said she was leaving over $30,000. What are you guys' thoughts on that? Do you guys, would that be something? Go ahead, you can play it.
Yo, if you know somebody with a gambling addiction, this video.
I think today is just one of them days. It's going to be one of them days.
Just one of them days.
Hey, if you got a gambling addiction, please watch this video. If you know somebody with a gambling addiction, send this to them too. And if you don't got one, you need to watch it because you don't need to get no gambling addiction. This shit ain't for the weak. But listen, I've been at the casino gambling all day since 10 this morning. It's 7:23. I lost $30,000 in one day. And when I was down a dub, when I was down 20, I told my girl I lost 20,000. She told me she was leaving. She was taking everything out the crib and leaving or whatever. It is what it is. Shit, I'm gambling and you just trying to get me to come home. That's how I'm thinking about the shit. But these people clean me up so fast. The casino's so fucking cold, man. Stay away from them people. I lost $30,000 and all these people had to offer me. This man said, thanks for playing with us. Check your rewards app. You got a $5 free food credit. I damn near smacked his bitch ass when he told me that. But moral of the story is don't fucking gamble if you can't handle it, cuz it looked like I'm single. She said she was leaving and taking everything. I'm taking y'all in the house with me to see. We finna see TikTok. We walking in TikTok. Oh shit, she wasn't lying, TikTok. Baby! Okay, how empty this bitch is. Oh my God, she took the TV off the wall. What the fuck? Stop. Damn. Damn.
Now, you know that's a problem when you're gone all day to the point where somebody can move a whole house. That's seriously a problem. Like that's an issue. Would $30,000 make you leave? I'm gonna start with you, Nomalanga. What do you think?
Yes, ma'am, I would leave, especially if it's just a boyfriend.
Yeah.
What exactly was she even doing there?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. You know when they say that there's red flags before people ever commit to each other? That's a big raging red flag. Yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah, um, I would absolutely leave, and I would advise anybody who's in the same position to leave. Um, uh, I don't know if Dr. Charm is a therapist. Are you a therapist?
I'm not a therapist, but I definitely have a mental health background.
Okay. You know, they seem a lot of therapists seem to be more sympathetic when people are have addictions and things like that. But for me, I think that if you know of an addiction, a serious addiction, before you commit to a person, don't make the commitment. Because now you're in the relationship with the addiction or whatever it is they're dealing with. And sometimes you very rarely ever even meet the person because you're so busy dealing with the addiction. So if you have a chance to leave before you ever commit, I would take it. That would be me with him coming back to the empty apartment. That would absolutely be me.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I was saying before you came on. I don't know if you caught that first part, that I did date someone with an addiction, and they were getting help when I met them. And then when I found out about another addiction, that's when I was out. But as I
Yeah.
said before, they have a relationship with the substance, and then they have a relationship with you, and the relationship with the substance always comes first. But this
Thank you.
guy,
Confirmation.
yeah. So like for me, being a realtor and now a new life insurance agent, $20,000 is enough for a $10,000 payment, 10,000 in closing costs. $20,000, you can get a policy. I can write you a life insurance policy. You get a whole life, a single pay, whole life issue policy, and be earning interest on it already and having some cash. Like the things that you can do with $20,000, invested in the stock market, bonds. It's just so like he is in the throes of addiction, and just looking at the stats. Yeah, y'all know I love to come with the stats. Black and Asian and Hispanic communities have a double the risk of double the incidence of gambling than white people do, but it's still a low prevalence relatively. 1% for white people, 2% more for blacks, Asians, and others. But the group that has the highest gambling addiction is actually Asians.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's really quite interesting, and it is classified in the DSM-5 under for psycho classifications for mental illness under impulse control, because it is a lack of impulse control. So I think it's sad because we've had this explosion of online gambling and online betting since it was legalized in 2018. It was overturned. The government said it was unconstitutional to ban it. So most states you can do it. There are some states that are banned, but I hate to see it because now you see celebrities are advertising for people to go bet and gamble and other groups and things, and it's just we're the worst community that needs to be participating in this because we don't have the resources that some of the other communities have.
Yeah. And it's actually 30,000, not 20,000. And when you think about this story too,
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure she's had conversations with him before. This is not the first conversation. She just didn't up and leave this time. She just got tired of it. He's done this before. And when you think about people that gamble, they have addictive behavior. So usually, like you all are saying, there's multiple addictions. They're not just gambling. They have sex addictions. They have drug or alcohol addiction. They have addictive behaviors. Aisha, what is your thought? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, to me, that was a red flag, like huge red flag. There's no way I will have somebody like that and continue being in a relationship with them. That is so much money at once. From someone in the morning till the evening, you lost that much money in one day. Where are your priorities, right? So that's a huge red flag to say, no, we're not doing this. Like everybody has said, if you stay in that space, it's only going to get worse. And you're going to just be one of the casualty of something like that. So, no.
Yeah, yeah, because people are not paying bills. They may not be paying bills to gamble. You're jeopardizing my livelihood. But this question I have to married people, right? To married folks. What if you're married to your spouse and all of a sudden, because sometimes people can hide, we do have red flags, but people can hide things. What would you guys do if it was your spouse that you guys found in that situation? Nomalanga, I'm gonna start with you.
As it is with any behavior that threatens the family unit, you do have to separate. not run straight to divorce court, but you certainly have to separate. And you cannot re-enter the marital home until there's a plan in place to solve that problem. And it's not just talking about, well, I'm gonna change, I'm gonna do better. It's not about just talking. There has to be some tangible things that you can see that there's changes, and you do have to involve other people so that person is accountable. That they've given you their word, that they're getting the help, they're making the changes, the adjustments, or whatever it is. And a good amount of time has to go where the person seems to be in the recovery phase, and is coping with that recovery phase before you can re-enter the marital home. You're well within your rights to leave, although you don't run right to divorce court. This should, ideally, that should take maybe at least 6 months where you kind of try to assess the whole thing. And ideally, you should reassess every 6 months. And of course, if years go by where you're still reassessing and things are not changing, then you do have to kind of escalate the situation. But certainly, you can't stay in that situation. You'll never be able to build wealth. These are the kind of people who will sell your children, depending on what kind of addiction it is. They'll sell your clothes, they'll sell, they'll empty bank accounts, they'll sell the house from under you. It's just such a destructive pattern that if you find it, you're well within your rights to step away from the situation and hope that it corrects. And if it doesn't, then you have to escalate the situation.
Yeah, I would have to agree with that. I may not leave the first time, but there needs to be a plan. There needs to be a plan in place, to show what this looks like. That person probably can't manage the finances because of the addictive behavior. We do need to get some form of counseling and just having these like real conversation. And I agree with you, Nomalanga. I think that oftentimes, especially from, like from my family, we don't always, it's like what happens in this house stays in this house. But a part of it is you need to have that outside support. When it stays in the house, it becomes this secret that nobody knows about, and it can keep growing. And I think that we have to get out of that. What happens here stays here, because it is harmful, and it ends up hurting families because nobody knew about it. I know you guys may have heard stories where people say, I never knew. Because one person chose not to say anything, but people were being harmed and people were being hurt. And then they don't know until the marriage dissolves or the family falls apart or the secret comes out. So I agree with you. We need to have people to hold those people accountable, because if you keep it in the dark, it's going to stay in the dark, and they're not going to stop doing it because there's nobody to hold them accountable. Aisha, what are your thoughts?
Absolutely. It's funny. I was just thinking the flip side of it. Sometimes why people actually deal with it is because if this gambler comes home with a win, right, that may actually make people stay longer thinking, oh, this is giving us something, right? So there's this other part that sometimes makes people stay, because he might come tomorrow with $100,000. So you might think, oh, maybe this things will work out. And then tomorrow he comes back with nothing. So I can see why it continues. People keep it a secret. Maybe they don't say anything because they get some wins and then some loses. But we also know that gambling, the wins are like very minimal, but it's a high. When they win, it's a huge high, and then it lows, right? So again, it's just so funny like that. And I was thinking to myself, because I actually went through something where, not gambling, but I had money that I trusted somebody else to take care for me. Because then I'm thinking, if somebody will leave you because you lose money, I guess it depends on how you're losing money. You're a gambler, like we're talking about, is gambling, or was it a loss that was legitimate loss, but now you have to now fight through it and like walk yourself through it, right? Because I lost a lot of money because I trusted someone, and but they were not really doing what they were doing. They were actually thieves, right? And they took this money away. So now I asked myself, if this was someone that was married to someone, and that amount of money that I lost, and my husband actually told me, something is fishy. I don't trust these people. The way he felt it. He said he felt it. But I was just like, no, I think, you know what, they're gonna keep their word. So I was the one that actually took the gamble. You can see that as a gamble because it was investment. An investment, some people call it, it's not gambling because you think you might make a return, an ROI, but it didn't happen that way. They took everything, right? Literally, they cannot be found. But he felt it, but I still went with it with a lot of money. Not just like, I said 30K, I said I wish, but it was a lot of money. we did go through counseling. We had to bring somebody from the outside to talk to us, because like we talk about accountability. If you don't hold somebody accountable, I may want to say, you know what, now I have more, let's do it again, right? Because well, maybe that one didn't work out. Let's because you want to make it, you want to make back your money. You want to, because you feel like you want to make it back. But because of the counsel, the outside counsel with my husband and everything, we're able to weather the storm. I'm not gonna lie, it wasn't easy because I felt so bad. I felt so bad for such a long time. The emotional toll was so terrible because you feel so bad about what you just done, and then you're trying to make back the money, then you make more mistakes. So the counselor holds you accountable. So you're not allowed to touch anything. You're not allowed to touch this money over here. Nope, you don't have access to it. So it was so funny, but I went through something similar, but not a gambling, but thinking I was investing, but actually lied and did not give back the money. So it's
So when you
hard.
think,
Glad that she brought up counseling rather than, I was saying you include family members for accountability, but sometimes some people come from some crazy families and you can't involve those people. So
yeah,
you do have, like, sometimes professionals are better, or your pastor, or a trusted person rather than family. I just want to say some people's families are crazy and you can't involve family in your business because it just make it worse.
yeah, I do agree with that. We're thinking about people that are responsible, that are logical, that are going to really hold both parties accountable. Because when you're thinking about accountability, people that are accountable, it doesn't matter if you're my mom, it doesn't matter if you're my sister. You're on team right. You're on team us, not team crazy, or I'm going to go over here because this is my daughter. We don't want that. We want real accountability so that we can have real change, and we could, we can shift things. And in
Correct.
terms of you, Aisha, like, that one, gambling is something that they do all the time. The man sat at the casino the whole day to the point where his family or his girlfriend was able to move out.
Baby, he was in there so long, she had to move out. She called U-Haul. She called the cable company. She turned the power, water, lights, and gas off. Did he even have any utilities by the time he arrived home?
That's what I'm saying. Now that's a problem. Now, making a bad decision that you in your mind and your heart thought that was a good decision is different than just going out there and doing whatever. Because you're thinking about $30,000. Like, even when people, like you said, you win, you may win 20, but you lost 30. You didn't win nothing. You just thought you won something. It doesn't make sense. And these casinos are big businesses because people really think they're going in there and they're winning all this money and they're doing all these things. And they're not. They're winning. The casino is winning, not us. I think we have a video ready.
Hello, my name's Isis. And today's day 32. I'm making these videos. Today's day 32 without gambling. I'm making these videos for me to see how I'm gonna be looking when I get to day 100. Today on the day 32, and it seems so hard. I'm just over it, y'all. I've only ever made it to 100 days gamble free since I started gambling when I was 21, and I'm 27. So today is day 32. Can't wait to day 100. Can't wait today. I really can't wait to day 300. But this is me on day 32, crying, feeling the withdrawals, just like a person on anything else in the world. Crack, cocaine, pills, alcohol. It's all addictions, even gambling. So I'm dealing with the consequences of trying to put my life back together due to the fact spending money and gambling. And then when you don't gamble, so like it's like you can't go flip your money. So now you just gotta manage your money. I can make more money if I get out of the depression of this no gambling. So here's to me coming back stronger. And I'm hoping day 65 I'll check back in with y'all.
Damn, that's messed up. Now I have to say this from a medical perspective, because she's talking about she's depressed because she's not able to gamble. It is classified as a mental illness under impulse control in the DSM-5, which is like the Bible for psychiatric disorders. But there can be underlying anxiety, depression. So there is medication that, now it's not FDA approved to use it for gambling, but if someone is gambling because they're anxious, because they're depressed, then they can treat it with antidepressants, or what we call anxiolytics. Also, let's talk about bipolar. For people who don't know about bipolar, people with bipolar disorder can have mania where they're spending, they'll go on shopping sprees, or they may be going to gamble. And then it has a depressive component where they're depressed, they can't leave the home. So somebody in the throes of a gambling addiction like this guy on the video, he should make sure to get checked and get a whole psychiatric workup, because it could be bipolar disorder that hasn't been diagnosed. So I just want to drop that for just an interesting, and I hate to see her suffering like that. That's one of the reasons I became a doctor. So I would love her to get into therapy and even see about getting evaluated for some antidepressants to help her through this time, this transitional time.
Thank you for that. I was going to actually ask you, from a medical and having a strong mental health background, I was going to ask you, to give more details about that. Aisha, what were your thoughts about the video?
Yeah, I felt really sad for just watching, and just breaks my heart, because there is a health component to that. It's the addictive behavior where they just keep being compulsive over and over again, wanting to get more hit. And the more they get it, the more they feel, like you said, I can make more money. Well, how? By gambling again, right? So
Yeah.
it is a mental or health component to it that, like Doctor is saying, perhaps if they get medication, that will help curb the anxiety of wanting to do something that you don't need to do. Maybe just need to curb that so that it can focus on something else. Redirect your thought process, because now the medication is helping you stay calm, so you don't feel you have to go do something, right? And I hope that she has support around her to remind her that, you're going through withdrawals, like she said, and it's going to be difficult, but we're here for you. We're here for you. Maybe we should go for a walk, get a breather. Let's do something else. Let's replace you wanting to go to gamble to do something else, something more productive, right? But I just felt bad, because unless we walk in somebody's shoe, we don't understand how hard it is for them, right? So we have to have that empathy for them and realize that, they say, but for the grace of God, it could be us going through that, right? So I felt for her for sure. And I pray that, she gets through it, and have people around her that can support her, her willingness to go away from this, so that she can get better sooner.
Yeah. And I think too that we have to get I believe there's an underlying issue. So yes, we have mental health, but there may be traumas or something that causes you to detach from reality.
The trigger.
Yeah, it's something that's triggered. And I think that until we get to the bottom of what these triggers are in general, whether it's a sex addiction, alcohol, drug addiction, gambling, there is something underlying. And I like what you said, Aisha, where you said you have to replace it, because when you have addictive behaviors, you have to find something to replace it that is going to empower you, that is going to make you better, whether it's working out, whether it's meditation, whatever, prayer, whatever works for you. You have to find something to replace it, because it's still there. That's kind of, some people have those strong addictive behaviors. Nomalanga, what was your thoughts about the video?
It was not even to be mean or anything. I was really taken aback when she said she was 27 years old. She looked like an older woman, so it looks like she's a person who's gone through things and they've actually aged her. I also thought, the first thing I thought was there must be some kind of underlying issue, which I think with all addictions, there's always an underlying issue. And until you deal with whatever the underlying issue is, it really, I hope she doesn't, but I feel like she's still going to go back to the thing, because it's like she's trying to just tough it out,
Yeah.
and maybe not really deal with the underlying issue. The interesting thing about me is I have a very addictive personality, but by the grace of God, I've never been addicted to, I've never even taken drugs in my life. And I drink alcohol socially, but very, very minimal. In fact, I go months without drinking alcohol at all, but I have a very, very addictive personality. So where it used to show up for me was I used to be a real workaholic. Um, and if I, like, you see how he's like, well, I've been there since this morning and it's now 7 o'clock at night. I used to do that with work. Like I could just get in there and get so busy and forget everything. And by the time I look up, hours and hours and hours have gone by, and I've just been so focused and so into that.
Yeah.
I've done it with exercise. It's just there. I know that it's there.
Yeah.
And, like I said, by the grace of God, I seem to have been able throughout my life to channel it into things that bring positive things more than negative things. So if you work really hard, you will accomplish a lot of things. Although you can ruin your relationships and affect other things, including your health. But another thing is there's also, and again, this is something I'm guilty of, an element of escapism. Um, Maybe it's because I'm an introvert, which is also hard for people to believe. But I just sometimes disappear into things. And I think addictive personalities also have that thing where it's like you kind of detach from reality and go somewhere else and indulge in something else. And then by the time you come back, it's like a lot of things have changed around you. So like I said, I don't mind sharing. For me, somehow there was the root cause of it, which I was able to find out. I went through a lot of therapy when I was in college, during my college years, in my 20s and even in my 30s. One of the things that I was able to get to the bottom of it was just a simple thing of never feeling good enough. So you work really, really hard to prove that you're good enough or whatever it is. And it can just be that slight thought. But the good news is like I really accomplished and achieved a lot of things because I used to work so hard. But I did get to a point where it became very exhausting, and I realized that, okay, you can be accomplished, you can achieve a lot, but there has to be a balance. And believe it or not, I became a life balance expert. That's what my whole platform is about. It's about balancing your life. Yeah, you have to give some attention to this and to this. And you do have to make money, you do have to follow your purpose or whatever it is, but there has to be balance in your life. Yeah, at the end of the day, it's about the root cause. And if you cannot tackle the root cause, it's just like a spinning wheel.
Yeah, I will definitely agree with that. If you're just tuning in, this is Fly Nubian Money, where we help you master your mindset and maximize your money. And we are here talking about gambling addiction. There was a young man that sat at the casino all day and lost $30,000. Question for our audience: have you all dealt with addiction or know of anybody that has dealt with addiction? Put it in the comments so we can talk about it. One thing that I do want to ask, when we're thinking about children, right? We all have children. Do you think, like, we have conversations about sex and we have conversations about drugs? Do you think that we should start having these conversations about gambling as well? Aisha, what are your thoughts?
Absolutely. Especially with the advent of gambling online and so accessible now to young people, the sport betting, and actually encouraging them to actually place a bet, right? And before you know it, because they have access to their phone, it becomes something where they're so focused on all the time. They want to see, what I bet it on. Is it going to be me? And they're putting money, and then maybe the money you give them for school, right? So we had a conversation, with our son before he went to college. We said, listen, we know that you and your buddies probably, like to talk about sports and who is going to win and want to take bets, and celebrities are actually encouraging that now. So we say, listen, if you get involved in stuff like this, it is a rabbit hole of hell. And all your hard work, all the things that you're working so hard to accomplish, you might just lose them just because you're doing this. So we encourage, say, please, please, we know about this. Do not even begin. Even if it's for $50, whatever, don't even start. Tell them, I'm not interested. I don't know who's going to win. Let the best man win. Do not put your money because you think you're going to make $300 extra. That is how it begins, because you're already grooming you as a young person to start putting your money where you're betting. You just start small. Before you know it, now you're taking all your money for school and gambling because you think you're going to win. This team is going to win. So yes, we did have a conversation because we will not put our heads in the sand and think it's not going to happen to our children. It doesn't matter how great your home is. There's also stuff out there that will affect your children if you don't have a conversation. And sometimes you might even have a conversation and they might even go the other way. But the key is staying in communication and telling them, I know about this. And I know you guys are probably going to be doing this. But I'm encouraging you, don't even start. As much as possible, don't bet. Just say, let the best man win and move on. Don't put your money in it because that's money you've just lost. So we did have a conversation.
Yeah, I have a 15-year-old, so this is sparking some things for me because they're around their friends and they're around their cousin, and they'll say, "I bet you can't shoot that. I bet you $20 you can't shoot that basket, or I bet you 20 push-ups." But this is where those seeds are planted. So I think that we do have to have real conversation because they can become a problem, even though it seems innocent, right? They're with their friends. $20 is not that big of a deal, but $20 turns to $30 over time if you're not having a conversation and you're not addressing it. Dr. Charm, my question was, should we be having these conversations with young people earlier? We have conversations about sex, drugs, alcohol. Should we be having conversations about gambling with our children or our youth earlier?
It's interesting that you say that because my daughter and I never had that conversation. I was so on her about not doing drugs, but her dad doesn't gamble. I don't gamble. And so I barely buy lottery tickets because I look at it as a donation. I'm like, okay, if I want to donate $5 and I'll donate $5, I'm not even get it back. I'm the person who goes to the casino and spends like $10. That's it. Because I'm just like, okay, I guess it doesn't do anything. But if you put a chocolate sundae in front of me, honey, we're going to town. We're going to have a situation. But it's interesting that you say that. I don't, my daughter, as far as I know, she doesn't gamble. But I do feel remiss that maybe I should have had that conversation with her because I was so fixated on drugs. Don't be on that stuff, honey. I ain't gonna come get you out on bail. But they prey. I do want to say that, we're dealing with these corporate conglomerates, and they prey on the little man. These casinos, it's completely legal. And then you see about the people that actually do win. You'll hear stories about, somebody hit $1 million on the slots, and then the casino said, oh no, it was malfunctioning. And it's legal. They do not have to pay you out if the machine is malfunctioning and you win. That actually happened to Tariq Nasheed. He won a lot of money at the casino, and they were like, nope, it was malfunctioning. So I don't know. And it could be dangerous too, because then you get into, it's not just at the casinos. You got the backroom gambling clubs, and then people maybe borrowing money from gangsters. Look at what happened to Offset, Cardi B's husband, a member of the Migos. He actually got shot. He owed somebody $10,000 that gave him $10,000 when he was in the casino from a gambling debt, and he never paid the guy. And they were DMing, and the guy said, "Hey, where's my money? It's been 3 months." And he said, "Get it back in blood." Well, then the Negro went and got shot because they shot him. So he did get it back in blood. And I think I've seen stories where Drake allegedly has a gambling problem. He's won $1 million. He's lost $1 million in one setting. They prey on specifically these celebrities and Black celebrities. Bruno Mars. Bruno Mars had to do a residency in Vegas because he owed the casino so much money. He even joked about that he paid his debts. So it's really, really sad.
Yeah, that's nuts. That's nuts. Nomalanga, what are your thoughts?
I actually also hadn't thought about gambling as, when you talk about safe spaces online and safe behavior and all that and stranger danger, we have children ranging from 20 all the way down to 5. So you have to have the conversation about don't talk to strangers. And then the older ones, you have to talk to them about their college life and adult life. And we've never had conversations about gambling. And I'm glad we talked about this because it should come up, because it seems like all of you are saying, when you're just online, it's like there's a lot of stuff coming at you to say, you want to try this, you have to try this, you have to try that. So I think it is something that should be talked about. And sometimes I think Aisha mentioned it starts off innocently with sports. You know, you're into sports and then you bet on the sports or whatever, and then it spirals into something else. So I think definitely it's something that we should include in conversations with our children, whether they're young adults or even the very young ones.
I agree. I totally agree. And I never thought about it until we're having this conversation about how it can start off as something so innocent and turn into something detrimental. You know, but there's so many things as parents, and not to go left field, but there's so many things as parents that we have to think about: drugs, alcohol, vaping, and now gambling is something that we should have a conversation about, because it's almost like we're being set up for failure. And I do believe that, you know, in our communities, it could be very impactful because we don't have that leisure money just sitting around that we could just throw away. I think that we have a final video, and then we're going to come back and get ready for final thoughts.
Did you see
And
that?
did you
Did
see
you see
that
that
comment real
comment
quick
from
about
Anonymous?
Anonymous that he lost 50K gambling?
Oh, wow.
50K? Are you in the Black community? Where did you get this 50K from? I would like to hear more
Yeah,
about this.
yes, that you could just go to the casino. Because that's another question, even for the young man. Like when we're thinking about it, like it looks like he was in an apartment. I don't know if it was a house or not, but it's like, where do you have this money? You know, like, how are you living to just have this money, just go to the casino and just say, hey, I'm just going to give, you know, $30,000 away. He said he quit betting. Anonymous said he quit betting cold turkey.
Yeah.
After he said something about LeBron.
Yeah.
Anonymous, were you a D-boy? Were you a street pharmacist? Uh-oh, he said he a hustler, baby.
And sometimes maybe he went in with maybe 5K in his hand and then made 50 and then lost it. Because it happens like that. While they're there, they make more money, they keep playing, they make more money, and then all at once. And it's like, what happened?
Might
You
have
muted.
refinance Granny's house or something. Don't be going in there stealing Granny's Social Security checks and house, refinancing the house behind people's back and stuff to go take it down to the casino.
And see what he
Anonymous
said,
said
it's online betting.
Online betting.
The young people are doing that now. You have to talk to them about that.
Yeah. Yeah. And I do think that these are conversations, and I'm glad that we have these conversations because it helps us to realize, like, oh, maybe we need to be having these conversations earlier rather than later. I think we have our final video.
Ladies, here's some game that your parents should have dropped on you when vetting a man. In the very early stages when you're dating him or dealing with him, whatever y'all got going on, you need to pay attention to whether or not he has a gambling addiction and he's hiding it. I don't care if it's sports betting, horse races, the casino. You've got to pay attention to the way that he manages his money very early on before you get into a deep committed relationship or even consider marriage. If he works a regular 9 to 5 and you catch him, wanting to place bets every time he gets paid, that's a huge red flag. And let's not forget, watch how he spends his money. If he's broke and he's in between jobs, but you catch him on the streets, shooting dice or, placing bets on the streets, red flag. It means he has poor money management. It means that he has risky behavior. And let me tell you something, a man that will risk losing his money will also risk losing your heart. It means he's a cheater. See, a man with a gambling addiction has a certain type of mindset. He has this flight or fright type of behavior, very risky. He's got to live on the edge for that next thrill. That's what gambling is about. So not only will he fuck up his money, he'll risk losing you as a good woman because that is the mentality of a gambler. He'll risk getting his side chick pregnant. He'll risk cheating on you and losing a good woman. He loves risky behavior because he's a gambler. There's nothing wrong with going to the casino once in a while. If you happen to go on vacation to Las Vegas together and y'all have some time in a casino, that's one thing. But a man that develops a pattern of behavior where he is constantly spending money on a weekly basis, looking to get rich quick, that is not a man you want to be in a long-term committed relationship with or marriage. Because at that point, he's not looking at you as a girlfriend, fiance, future wife. He's looking at you to be his financial security blanket, because when he goes broke, he gonna dig in your purse and you're gonna have to feed his gambling addiction when he needs some money. That's your purpose in the relationship. A man that gambles his money irresponsibly will gamble your heart. Stay away from men with that type of behavior, that pattern of addictive, risky behavior. It ain't worth it. He's lazy. He wants to get.
I agree with her 100%. Those are my thoughts when it comes to a man that gambles. So this is my question that I have for all y'all, and it's related to the video. Do you think that we are asking enough questions about money while we're dating, or do we wait until we get into a financial crisis to have these conversations? I'm gonna start with you, Aisha.
I love the video because she really kind of break things down and tell you what to look for. Those are the red flags to look for when you're dating somebody. And it's unfortunate that sometimes when we're dating, rather than bring the person closer to people that care about us, we want to take them away and think we're doing it on our own. And that's actually not a good idea, because when you're dating somebody and all those red flags, you take them for granted. But somebody that cares about you sees them and they take a note of it. This person, they're this way, so that they can bring it up to your attention and say, listen, this person, the way they did ABC, I don't think that's right. You should pay attention to that. Because then you can actually think outside the person and see exactly what's happening. And those red flags don't lie. If somebody, like Maya Angelou says, somebody show you who they are, believe them the first time. Don't try to make it better, fix it. No, they show you who they are, accept it. And if something that you can deal with, great. If not, keep moving, because it's just more to come. But I also like what somebody said, that it's funny when somebody loses, yeah, you may get upset, but when they win, like you said, come home, baby, right? So it's important to have people around you to advise you well. So don't get deceived by that. Just because they won today, but tomorrow they went back gambling, it's gonna continue. Don't get swindled by that. So yeah, but I love what she said.
And I agree, you're going to have a roller coaster life with a person like that. That is, all about the win. You're going to be up and down. You're going to be broke. You're going to have money. He going to take the money. He going to gamble it. He going to bring a $30,000 home, but he going to lose 100. You're going to be in trouble. Nomalanga, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I don't care about that whole if we won, it's great. Like, no, if like, I'm a systems person, and there's no system with gambling. So if there's not a system in place for consistent income, I'm not impressed by sudden money, because you can get it suddenly, you can lose it. I'm just not impressed with sudden money that I don't understand, if I don't understand where it came from, which is why I don't even gamble to begin with. I don't even play lottery or anything like that. I don't like things that I don't, yeah, I just I can't get on board with that. But I do like what she said, where she drew the parallel about him. If you'll gamble, he'll also gamble with your heart. I really like that parallel. And then the thing I think Dr. Chom said in the beginning was about impulse control. So really what you end up dealing with is a child. Because one of the things, like with rental companies, apparently they don't rent to people, or they do rent to people at 21, but then until 25, the rates are so high that you don't even want to rent a car. And that's because they're looking at the fact that with the development of a young adult, they're not fully developed until 25 years old. And the main thing is that impulse control. So what it means is, if you end up with somebody like this, they're a perpetual child. You just don't know what's going to happen. So yeah, I'm really glad she brought up those parallels, that if he'll play with this, he'll play with your life, he'll play with your heart, he'll cheat on you. Because again, yeah, it's that thing of not being able to control your impulses. Very dangerous.
Dr. Charm?
Yeah, I'm not in relationship with any addictions at all. We're not doing any kind of addictions, untreated mental illness, even treated mental illness, depending on what kind. I'm just not dealing with any of it. So, and even the weed heads, God bless y'all, but I'm not doing those either. And people say, oh, I'm not addicted to weed. Weed is not addictive, but then they can't pass a drug test to get a job because they smoking so much. So that's just is just I learned from experience. Call
So
me
we,
rigid if you want.
yeah. So we have had an amazing conversation. So I'm just gonna go around and you guys just let everybody know where they can find you. I'm gonna start with you, Dr. Charm.
Well, this is Dr. Charm, your local psychic medium, tarot reader, astrologer, naturopathic doctor, comedian, realtor. But really, if you want to get a luxury apartment here in Atlanta, in the Atlanta area, you can go on my Instagram for my real estate, and it's Dr. Charm Luxury. And then if you just want to watch some funny videos and just, shoot the breeze with me, come to my comedy Instagram, Charm Girl 77. I hope that you guys got to watch me on Beat Shazam with Jamie Foxx with the Jamie Foxx last week. If you didn't, hope you have Hulu. It's episode 4, Girls Night Out. But if you don't, they are 2 episodes behind on Tubi. So I think by next week, episode 4, you can catch it on Tubi. And we had a blast. It was super fun. We didn't win the show, but I didn't leave empty-handed.
Nomalanga, I'm gonna go to you.
I always joke every week that I actually don't really want to be found. I always say, can you please support our charity? The joke behind not wanting to be found is that I just don't have any current offerings right now, so there's no reason to find me. We're working on a few things, and then I'll tell you where to find me and for what reason. But we do have a charity that supports period poverty. You can go to padsforgirls.com. Every little bit counts. I always like to drop this little nugget in and say that our biggest supporters are actually the Fly Nubian Money community. I always see a little uptick in donations after we mention it on the show. You'll see 1 or 2 donations. And we have people who've actually subscribed and donate every month. And I do post, if you follow me on Facebook, that's one reason to follow me on Facebook. When we do our charity work, I always post it on Facebook. We've adapted one girl's shelter, which is for battered young women or those who've been sexually abused. We do go to that shelter. We supply them with sanitary pads and much more. Sometimes we buy them winter clothes, or sometimes I just call and ask what their needs are, and then I do a drive and I ask for donations, and then we go visit, we bring goodies, and we just make their day. So if you're interested in contributing to something like that, it's padsforourgirls.com. And again, even the smallest amount counts. So thank you, guys.
Thank you, Nomalanga. Aisha.
Yeah, great show today. And I think what all of us maybe take away is make sure we talk to our children if we have kids about gambling, because it can start very innocently, but then before you know it, it becomes a huge problem. And see the red flags. If you see the red flags, they are there for a reason. And listen to them. Don't just put them aside and say, oh, it's not a big deal. It is a big deal. Something small becomes even bigger, right? That's what we should always think about when it comes to gambling. It doesn't help our families. It's just pattern of destruction all the way, and we don't want that in our families. So where can you find me? In the Black Business School, and also as AishaVirzi.com. If you have any questions regarding maybe your plans with your finances, insurance, retirement, I'm here to help. Have a great day, everyone.
Thank you, ladies. So I am Dominique Morgan. I'm one half of the Whitmore Group, and we can help you purchase throughout the United States. And so I have partnered with Solid Rock, which is a non-for-profit transitional housing that houses children that are transitioning out of foster care. They provide holistic approach in terms of finances, job placements. They address their mental health. And so I have committed to donating $50 of every one of my real estate transaction. And I'm asking that everybody help in this endeavor. So you can text Whitmore, that's WHI, MOR to 50155, and it's actually on the screen to help donate in that endeavor. So thank you guys for tuning in. This has been another great show. We are live every Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday at 1 p.m. Central Standard Time. And if you want to get updates on when we're live, you can text Queens to 87948. Thank you for tuning in, and we will see you all next week.